What's up, guys? Welcome to the video. My channel name is College Football Frenzy, back with another video, and today I'm going to be breaking down the top 10 games of Week 6 of the 2020 college football season. So I've already done 5 of these, one for Week 1 through Week 5, and as we go on throughout the off season, like I said in my last video, it seems more and more apparent that some certain games of the college football season that we've been looking forward to might not happen. For example, the Pac-12 games, those might not happen because the Pac-12 might not play football. A lot of out-of-conference games might not happen that we thought were going to happen. But they haven't announced anything yet, not yet. So I'm going to act as if all these games happen. So I'm going to say my top 10 games of the scheduled 2020 college football season. Again, some of these won't happen. I expect most of them to, because of the fact that these are all in conference games pretty much in Week 6. There's not really many out-of-conference games. So all the games I have on this list probably should happen. But again, there's still a chance some of them don't. But I'm going to be acting like in this video that they all do. But without further ado, let's get right into it. I think Week 6 has some very intriguing matchups. Unlike some other weeks, it doesn't have a matchup that stands out as the best matchup of the week, but it does have definitely some good matchups that will be important to the college football playoff picture. All right, number 10, we have Clemson versus Florida State. This is an ACC Atlantic battle. Now, of course, Clemson's the best team in the ACC. They're really the best team in the nation. Florida State had a disappointing season last year. Did not go well under Willie Taggart in his last season with Florida State. They lost their bowl game against Arizona State pretty badly as well. So it was a disappointing season for Florida State. But Mike Norvell, former head coach of Memphis, he's coming in. Hopefully he'll rebuild the program and turn it around. I'm sure they've got talent there. He can definitely transform that program, but it's going to take time. It's definitely a game in which I would favor Clemson. But that being said, it's not going to be a cakewalk. It'll definitely be one of the tougher ACC opponents that Clemson plays. Probably one of the bigger trap games they have on their schedule. Again, I expect Clemson to win, but don't underestimate Florida State. Mike Norvell's a pretty good head coach, and they've got decent talent. So I put this as 10, and again, you can argue that it shouldn't be on the list because you expect Clemson to win by a lot, but I have it on my list. 9, California versus USC. So Pac-12 matchup here again. Likelihood this is not happening, but we're going to act like it does happen. For this game, I feel like, I would definitely favor USC. They're at home in the Coliseum, and on top of that, they have a lot of returning production. But Cal's going to be a decent team, too. Their returning production's good, and I think they'll definitely be competitive within the Pac-12 next year. This past season, they started out pretty good, had a tough ending of the season, but overall, they won a few decent games, played it close with a few good teams. So I'm not going to rule out Cal being a good team next year. So I definitely think this could be a good matchup if it does happen. Cal is definitely a team that could, give USC some problems, especially considering USC has a couple tough games before this. They might be tired coming into this game or worn out just because before this they have to play teams like Alabama and Utah. Those will be tough games. So this definitely isn't a guarantee for the Trojans. I expect it to be a pretty good Pac-12 matchup if it doesn't happen, but right now it's 9. 8, Iowa versus Ohio State. So clearly Ohio State at home is the much more talented team and has a bigger advantage. Unbiased me or just biased me, I would say Ohio State's just the better team overall. That being said, Iowa, of course, a few years ago absolutely annihilated Ohio State in Kinnick Stadium, so it might be a little bit of a revenge game, and Iowa still consistently is a program that competes competitively in the Big 12. No matter really how bad of a season they're having, they can always give a team trouble, so I'm not going to rule out Iowa at least competing in this game. I think they can still be maybe a 7 or 7-5 or 8-4 program next year, maybe even if they have a really good season, a 9-3 program. I'm saying that's probably not going to be happening because they're losing Tristan Wirfs and AJ Espinosa, but still, I think Iowa overall has been known lately as one of those teams in the Big Ten that's definitely been pretty consistent, so I have this at 8 right now. 7, this mainly is just because it's a rivalry game. Sparty versus Michigan. This time the Spartans will host. Michigan destroyed Sparty last year. I was surprised about how much Michigan destroyed them because even though Michigan was clearly the better team last year, the Spartans prior to that game under the Jim Harbaugh era Michigan had given Michigan a lot of trouble in the Big House. But this past season, Michigan absolutely destroyed Michigan State. Obviously, Michigan State's been going through a lot this past offseason, losing Mark D'Antonio. That hurts. Their returning production's not very good overall. But at the end of the day, it's a rivalry game for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. Heated rivalry overall. I definitely think, considering Michigan's been losing to Ohio State lately, they consider this rivalry against Michigan State more and more important as the years go on. So it's an important rivalry. It's an away game for Michigan, so it's not a guarantee. So I'll be interested to see how this goes. Again, talent-wise, there's no debating that Michigan's the better team, but it can definitely turn out into an exciting game. Minnesota versus Wisconsin. All right, no surprise here that this is on the top 10. Wisconsin coming into this game is already going to have to play a tough stretch. Before this game, I believe the prior 2 weeks, they play both Michigan and Notre Dame. Those are top 20 opponents. So coming into this game, they might be a little bit worn out. It's a home game. Minnesota's going to be looking for revenge, obviously. Wisconsin destroyed their Big Ten and playoff hopes on the last game of the regular season last year. I'm sure Minnesota's not that happy about that. But overall, this should be an exciting Big Ten West matchup. I see no reason why these teams won't be the top 2 teams in the Big Ten West next year. Looking at the talent, Minnesota's not losing much. Their offense should be very good. Tanner Morgan's coming back. Rashad Bateman's coming back. And on Wisconsin, the defense is probably the best in the Big Ten. The offense is not very great. Losing Jonathan Taylor is going to hurt. But the defense overall is something to be scared of. So I expect this to be a pretty good matchup. I really don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything like that. So this really could go either way. So I'm excited to see how this matchup turns out. Iowa State versus Oklahoma State. If you're not an Iowa State or Alabama fan, this matchup brings back bad flashbacks to 2011. That was the game in which Iowa State, of course, upset Oklahoma State, which ended up ruining Oklahoma State's title hopes, and Alabama got into the national championship game. So this matchup is remembered for. For this upcoming season, though, this should actually be an entertaining matchup. Oklahoma State and Iowa State are 2 top 25 programs, in my opinion. Both had stints throughout the last season where they were in the top 25. For this upcoming season, they've got good returning talent, especially Oklahoma State with Chuba Hubbard. I expect Oklahoma State to be even a playoff contender, maybe. I think they're a top 15 team, definitely going to be competing to make a Big 12 championship game. So is Iowa State. They could definitely compete to make the Big 12 championship game. So these are 2 pretty good programs within the Big 12. I'm expecting a lot from both of them for this upcoming season, so I'm excited to see this matchup. So right now I have it as pretty high on the list. It's a big one. Virginia Tech versus North Carolina. Of course, this was going to be on there. I would be shocked if this doesn't decide who wins the Coastal Division. These are 2 programs that have high hopes for this upcoming season. UNC, they're expecting big things. So is Virginia Tech. Good returning production. UNC, especially on the offense with Sam Howell, he might be a Heisman finalist. So overall, both these programs are very, high for this upcoming season. I mean, these are 2 programs that are in the preseason top 25. And you got to remember, Virginia Tech last year, they had like 4 or 5 losses. UNC had like 6. But the returning production and the coaching looks good. So most people have come to the conclusion that this is going to be a good matchup, going to be a ranked matchup. It could really go either way, in my opinion. It's going to be a very good matchup. And I believe last year, these 2 teams played like a triple overtime game. I think Virginia Tech won that. I'm not too sure, but it was a great matchup overall. So this matchup from last year to this upcoming season, it's going to be exciting to see what happens. It should be a good one. I'm very excited. Auburn versus Georgia. Deep South's oldest rivalry pretty early on this year. It's usually a lot later, maybe in like late November or early November, but this year it's pretty early on. I'm a little bit surprised about this. Early October. Georgia at home hosting Auburn. 2 great SEC programs. The returning production for both schools is great. Auburn, I think, a little bit better returning production, but Georgia still has a great defense and a great recruiting class, the best recruiting class in the nation. Auburn's got a top 10 recruiting class. So these are 2 pretty good football programs. I expect big things from them this upcoming season. We'll see how it goes. I definitely would favor Georgia, but I wouldn't be shocked if Auburn wins. So it's a big SEC matchup. I'm excited for this one. Number 2, the Red River Showdown, big rivalry game here. So last year this game was pretty entertaining, and even the year before that was pretty entertaining. 2018, Texas beat Oklahoma on a game-winning field goal. 2019, Oklahoma won by a touchdown, but still Texas made it close at the end. So good matchup, big rivalry. Texas for this upcoming season has big hopes. If they don't have the injuries like they did last season, they should be pretty good, a top 15 program. They have a top 10 recruiting class. They have good returning talent, including Sam Ehlinger, who's a veteran quarterback. So Texas should be good next season. Oklahoma losing probably their 2 best players in, Jalen Hurts, CeeDee Lamb, maybe even their 3rd best player in Kenneth Murray. So they're losing a lot. But that being said, they're gaining a lot. They have a top 15 recruiting class. It's right on the edge of being top 10. On top of that, Alex Grinch trying to transform the defense a little bit. It's going to take time, but should at least improve. And Spencer Rattler should be good. We'll see how the O-line works. I think it has a few problems overall, but it's going to be a good matchup nonetheless. It always is. Anything can happen in this matchup. I'm excited to see. Great rivalry. Nice that they have on a neutral site. It's very fun to see. This one could really go either way. It's got big playoff implications. Really, the winner of this game is definitely going to have a much better chance of making the playoff. Number 1, LSU versus Florida. I think this is pretty expected. Big SEC matchup. I would be surprised if both these teams aren't undefeated coming into this game. I think LSU really only has one big test before this. Florida has 1 or 2 decent tests before this, but I expect both to be undefeated coming into this game. So it's going to be a highly anticipated matchup. It was a great matchup last year. Despite LSU winning by 14, it was close the whole time, no doubt about it. So in the Swamp, it's going to be a good game. I think clearly Florida has the better returning production. LSU does have the better recruiting class. It's going to be a great game, great atmosphere. I'm very excited for this game. So overall, I rank this as the number 1 game of the week. Florida and LSU play each other every year, and they produce a lot of great matchups against each other throughout the years. They've produced a lot of great matchups, and I'm expecting, no change. I think it's going to be another good matchup. So I have this at 1. But that's it for now, guys. Thank you for joining in. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Check out my other videos. And thank you for watching.